Welcome to another video in the Overhead Cost Management playlist. In the video today, I will run a demo on SAP S/4HANA 2022 for the life cycle of internal orders. I will start by creating an internal order, then I will do some actual posting, and then periodic settlement and full settlement. I will also show you the difference between the statistical internal orders and the real internal orders. There are also other steps in the life cycle of the internal order, such as planning and budgeting, but these are optional steps that I will show in a separate video. This video is late because I'm traveling and I don't have my usual equipment and the studio setup. But I decided not to delay the video anymore, so here I'm recording with the tools I have. So I'm using my webcam. Luckily I have my microphone, but this is not the usual place that I record in, so there can be some echo or some issues with the audio. Hopefully nothing annoying will happen and you will enjoy watching this video. Remember, before watching the demo, to watch the last video where I explained the difference between internal orders and the cost centers, because there I introduced the meaning and the use of internal orders. So after watching the last video, you can proceed with the demo. Now let's go. As promised in the overhead management playlist, I will do my best to do all the demos on SAP Fiori. So this is my SAP Fiori, and I will start by creating two internal orders, one real and one statistical, so we can see the difference between both of them when we run the different transactions and the different reports. To create internal orders, I will use the application Manage Internal Orders. We start by inserting the controlling area. This is a controlling object or a costing object, so it has to be created on the controlling area level. And then we insert the order type. The order type controls many things in the configuration of the internal order, such as the number range and many other details. So for the demo today, I will use internal orders marketing 0400, and this is a standard internal order type that you can find in any best practice SAP system. And then we can also copy from another order by inserting the controlling area and the other order's number here. I'm not going to copy, so I'll just insert these details and then click on continue. Most of the fields we have here in the internal order are optional, and if we want any field to be mandatory, then we can change this in the configuration of the order type. So we don't have to fill most of these fields. They are only here for reporting, but they don't impact anything. So for example, we can insert the estimated costs, the telephone number, starting date, ending date, and so on. Here we insert the order description, so this can be, for example, marketing. And then if we go down, we have also the assignments. So here we have the company code, which is mandatory. So every order must be created on a company code and also on a controlling area. We have the business area, plant, functional area. The profit center I will fill because I have document splitting activated in my company code, and the profit center is one of the document splitting characteristics. So I have to maintain the profit center in every costing object. So here I have the profit center, and this is not related to the final profit center where I am going to settle the internal order. So after we post whatever costs we want to this internal order, we are going to settle them to different cost centers. And when we do the settlement, the cost will move from this internal order and from this profit center to the receiving cost center, and the profit center assigned to the cost center. Then we have the cost center responsible. This is only for reporting. It doesn't impact anything. So we can say, for example, that this internal order is being executed by the marketing department. We can also say that the requesting cost center, for example, is accounting. So the accounting department requested this marketing campaign, and then the marketing campaign is being executed by the marketing department. Just an example, not very realistic. And then we can also assign a user responsible and so on. You can check the different fields available here. And then if you go down to status, here we have the status created. And as long as the order is in status created, we cannot post anything to it. We can only post planning and budgeting, but we cannot post actual financial postings. So this is a very good control point. So whenever anyone in the finance department creates an internal order, no one is allowed to use it until we change the status from created to released. And to do this, we can click here, change system status, and then choose release. So now the order is released, and once I save, people will be able to use this order in different purchase orders and in different accounting postings. And then here, if you go down, we have the order category. So this is an internal order, and we have this very important checkbox, a statistical order. So if we check this, the order will be statistical, not real. And this is what I explained in the last video. Now I will show you this. So for this order, I'm going to keep it real, so I'm not going to check this one, but I'm going to create another one right now, and I will check a statistical order. And then we have here actual posted cost center. This field is only to be used with the statistical internal orders, because statistical internal orders are not real. They are only there for reporting, but whenever we post to them, we also have to specify a real cost object. So for example, a cost center. So if we have a statistical order, we can insert the actual cost center that will be used for the cost assignment in the master data of the internal order here, or we can insert it manually whenever we do a posting, and I will show you this. And then if you go down, we have other details here related to period end closing, like settlement cost element, cost center GL account. This we use only if we are going to settle to one cost center. But if we want to settle to different cost centers, then we go to maintain settlement rule, and we maintain the different cost centers that we want to use in the settlement there. I will go there after we finish this screen. And then here we have investments. So this is something related to investment management, and this is something we use when we are using the order as an investment measure, for example, to capitalize an asset. I have explained this in the fixed assets playlist, but it's not relevant to our example today. We are only using normal internal orders for overhead cost. In our example, we are doing a marketing campaign, so this is not an investment measure. We're not going to capitalize anything, so this one will be empty. And now let me go up. I didn't show you this field, object class. So the object class is what tells SAP that this is an overhead cost internal order, which means that there will be no capitalization. If we use investment, then it will be capitalized. So I will keep it as overhead cost for our marketing campaign. And now this is all I want to mention for the fields that we have in the internal order. The next thing we want to do is to maintain the settlement rule, and we don't have to do this right away. We can create the order, start posting, and before we run the period end closing, we go to the master data of the internal order and we maintain the settlement rule, which is usually the case. So settlement rules can change based on the business scenario. So most of the time we just leave it empty, and before we run the period end closing, we go here and we maintain the settlement rule that we want to use. So we can do this. For now, I'm going to keep the settlement rule empty. So if we go to maintain settlement rule here, as you see, we don't have any distribution rules, and I will leave it as this. And then let's go back, so cancel and save. The internal order has been created and it has the number 400,104. So this is our real internal order. Now let's go back and create another one that will be statistical. So here, if I click on go, we can see our marketing campaign order. So I'm going to select this and I will click on copy. So I'm creating another one that's exactly the same, but this one will be statistical. So I will call it marketing campaign statistical. And I will click on the checkbox here for statistical order under control. So click here and then save. So this one is a statistical internal order. If we try to go to the settlement rule, so click on maintain settlement rule, we get a message that no settlement rule can be maintained because this is a statistical order. So statistical order may not contain a settlement rule, because again, this is not a real cost object. The real cost will be posted to another cost object. This is only there as a reporting dimension. So no cost is actually inside the internal order, so there is nothing to settle. This is why there is no settlement rule needed. Now let's go back and save this order. So this one is 400,105, and this is our statistical order. So now we have two internal orders. We don't have any settlement rules yet. The first order is 400,104, which is released. The second order is 400,105, which we did not release. If you check here the status, it's only created. So let's try and post an accounting entry to these two internal orders and see what messages we will get. So now I will open a new tab by clicking here and click on open link in new tab, and this will give us another tab from our Fiori Launchpad. Now let's go to overhead cost management, and now I'm going to post an accounting entry. So I will use the application post general journal entries. This is the transaction FB50 in SAP GUI, and I'm more used to the SAP GUI transaction until today. Whenever I go to this application, I feel that I'm kind of lost, but it's easy to use. We just need to get used to it. So now journal entry date, let's say that I'm posting this entry in January 2024. And the posting date is also 01/01/2024. The company code is AG00, the transaction currency is EUR. Now let's go here and start inserting the GL accounts. So the first line will be the GL account 3, 1, and let's see what we have here. So we have food expenses, electricity expenses. So let's use, for example, electricity expenses. So I'm going to post 2 line items from electricity expenses, 1 line to each internal order. So this one and this one also, 310015. And I will add another line for the credit. So let's say credit to a bank account. Bank accounts start with 1 in my system, so let's use this one, local bank. Now the debit to the first internal order, let's say it's 5,000. Second order is 7,000. So this one is credit, 12,000. Okay, and now we need to insert the cost object. As you see in the first line, we have this mark, which shows an error. The second line also shows an error, and third line is okay. Why do we have errors? Because we did not insert a cost object, because this is a P&L account, an expense account that's created as a cost element. So whenever we post any of these, we have to insert a cost object. And we can see the message here. So if you open the messages, we can see here page 1, line item 2, account 300310015 requires an account assignment delivered to cost accounting, and also line 2. So we need to insert a cost object, and in my example today, this will be our internal order. So I will open the first line, and here we need to insert an internal order. So we have account assignment, cost center, internal order. So this one will be 400104. This is the first order, and the second one will be to 400105. So now I have assigned the 2 lines to the 2 internal orders. Now once I press enter, I have another message. So if I open this, it says page 1, line item 2, system status created is active for order 400105. So because the order has the status created, not released, I'm getting this error. No one can use it until it is released. And I don't have any error for the first order that ends with 104 because we have released it already, so there is no error. But now we need to release 105 before we can use it. So let's go back to our other tab, and I'm going to change this order. So click on edit and change the status. So here we have the status created. So click on change and choose release and then save. Order has been saved. Now let's go to the other tab, and again I'm going to insert the internal order, and let's see if we get any errors. To refresh, I'm going to remove it, assign it to another order, so for example 104, and then assign it back to 105, and then press enter, and now we have another error. So if I check here, the error this time says that account 310015 requires a revenue-based account assignment relevant to cost accounting. So this is the difference between statistical and real orders. The line that we have with the real internal order 104 doesn't show any errors because it is a real order, so it can hold the cost itself. While the order 105 is a statistical order, so it cannot hold the expenses. So we need to insert another cost object with the statistical order. This is why I'm getting this error now. All I need to do is to insert another real cost object. So for example, I can insert a cost center. So if I insert the cost center 1000 here and then press enter, we no longer have any errors, and this one is green. So this cost center I inserted manually while doing the posting. We can also maintain this cost center in the internal order master data, and the cost center will come automatically. So if I go back to the other tab where we maintained our internal order, and if we check here next to the checkbox for statistical order, we have actual posted cost center. So if I click here on edit, we can maintain a cost center here. And if we do this, whenever we post anything to the statistical order, the cost center will be driven automatically. So it will come automatically to the posting, and we can still change it manually if we want. But if we don't maintain anything, then every time we use the internal order, we must insert a cost center manually or another real cost object. But there has to be a real cost object in every accounting entry where we use cost elements related to expenses or revenues. Now let's go back to our accounting entry. So now we have our 3 lines. First line is posted to the real internal order 104 for 5000. Second line is posted to the statistical order 105, and the cost center 1000 for the value of 7000, and the third line is posted to our bank account, which is credit of 12,000. So now we have a balanced accounting entry, and I can click on post, and now the document has been posted and we can display it if we want. I will click on OK, and let's go to the internal order reports so we can see what is the impact of what we did. So here I'm back to Fiori Launchpad, and there is an application that's called Internal Orders Plan Actual. So this one will show us the planned values, actual values, and the comparison between them. For now, we don't have any planned values. We only have actuals, but we can still use it. So I will click on the application, and here I will insert the fiscal year 2024. The category, do we want to see actual costs, project budget, cost center budget, or so on? I want to see actual costs, so I will click on ACT01, then click on OK. And I can also insert posting periods, profit center, and so on. I will insert the order number, so 400104, and also 400105. So here we can see our two orders, and as you see here, the value for the first order ending with 104 is 5,100. So this is the value in controlling area currency. The transaction that we posted was in company code currency. So on the first order 104, we have 5,100. On the second order 105, 7,140. Again, this is the translated value from company code currency that we posted to the controlling area currency. I know that I will get questions in the comments about this because it's not the same that we posted, but whenever we post anything in SAP with a certain currency, it is automatically translated to the other. And in my system, I am using the controlling area currency USD and the company code currency EUR. So the 5,000 EUR in my system is equal to 5,100 USD. So now here we have the first order and the second order, and there is a very important column here. In indicator internal order is a statistical account assignment. So for the order 104, this is no, which means that this order is real and the cost is actually maintained inside this internal order, while for the order 105, this is marked as yes, which shows us that this is a statistical order, so it doesn't actually hold any values, but it is a reporting dimension where we can report on the costs that we posted related to this marketing campaign, but no settlement is needed because this cost is already posted to another real costing object, which is our cost center 1000, as we saw in the posting. So now this is the report, and here we have the plan amount, which is empty because we didn't maintain any plan, so the difference is equal to the actual amount. Now let's go back and proceed with the internal order settlement that we do at the end of the period, or when the marketing campaign is over and we no longer need the internal order, we can also settle it. So we don't have to always wait until the period end. Now let's go back, and to settle the internal order, we can use this transaction, run settlement. But before we do, we need to maintain the settlement rule. If we try to run the settlement without any settlement rules, let's do this. So click on run settlement. Here we insert the order number. So the order number, let's say, is 400104. So this is our real order. Settlement period is 1 in year 2024. And then if we click on settlement rule here, we don't have anything because we did not maintain any settlement rule. To maintain it, we have to go to the internal order master data. We cannot maintain it here. Now let's go back and perform a test run. So click on execute. We get this error, maintain the settlement rule of the sender. So we need to maintain settlement rules. So now let's go back to our other screen for the internal order master data, and I'm going to edit our real order, this one, and maintain the settlement rule. So click on display, click on edit first, and then click on maintain settlement rule. And here we can insert different lines. So I will click on insert, and here we have settlement type. We can either choose full settlement or periodic settlement. I will create a separate video explaining in detail the configuration of the settlement profile, the difference between full and periodic settlement, how to use the allocation structure and the source structure, and so on. But let's say from a very high point of view, the difference between full and periodic is that periodic settlement will only be used to settle the costs that is in the period that we are settling, while full settlement will settle all the costs that are on the order, whether they are in this period or in previous periods. I will show you this in details in the video when I will explain the settlement, because this is a very interesting topic and I don't want to include it with other information in the same video. So for now, I will only maintain periodic settlement rules. We don't have to maintain full settlement rule. If we have periodic, it's fine. So I will just maintain the periodic settlement. And then we maintain the category of the receiver. I'm going to settle to cost centers. We can settle to different kinds of objects, and this is all something that we maintain in configuration. So here I will choose cost center. And the settlement receiver is cost center, let's say 1000. And this cost center will receive 50% of the cost, or let's say 40%. Then I'm going to maintain another line, so insert. And this other line will be also periodic settlement to cost center, but this one will go to cost center 2000 and it will take 60%. So now any expense we post to this internal order will be settled 40/60 to cost centers 1000 and 2000. We can maintain any settlement rule we want, so I can add other lines if I want. We can also classify the different expenses for different rules. For example, I can say that cost elements or expenses related to electricity and rent will be distributed as 40/60 to these cost centers, while food expenses will be distributed to another cost center with a different percentage. This is something that we maintain using something called the source structure. I will explain this also in the settlement video. So let's keep it as this for now. Very simple, that any expense we post to this order will be distributed equally 60/40 to these two cost centers and without any difference between the different expenses. So all the expenses will be settled in the same way. Now let's go here and see what else we need to add. So we have included the settlement receiver, the category, the percentages, and this is a periodic settlement rule. So all good. Now I'm going to click on done and see if we have any errors, and then click on save. So now we have maintained the settlement rule, and if you check here, the system status is released and settlement rule created. Now let's go to the actual settlement order application, and now I'm going again to run the test run. So click on execute, and here I have this error, no source assignment found for cost element 310015. If we go to the long description, it shows that the sender bears the KA source structure and was debited with cost from the 310015 cost element. The cost element is not assigned to any source assignment. So this is a configuration error because in our settlement rule, we are using the source structure KA, but we did not maintain the cost element in the source structure. I wanted to show you this error because this is something that you may face while trying to test the process in your system. Don't worry, this is one of the things that I will explain in detail in the settlement video. But for now, I will just pass this error by editing the settlement rule and removing the source structure until we explain this part. So I will go back to the internal order, then click on edit, go to maintain settlement rule. We have seen all the fields here before, so this is our settlement rule that we created. But we can also go here to set settlement parameters, which is very important. And here is where we can see the source structure. This is an optional thing to use, the source structure, which I don't want to use for now. So we only use it if we want to have different settlement rules for different types of costs or for different cost elements. In my business example today, I am distributing all the costs the same way, 40/60 to the two cost centers. So I don't want to use the source structure. So I'm going to remove this one. The other thing I'm using is the allocation structure A1. This one we have to use, and the one I will use today in the demo is G00. All the configuration steps that I did in order to configure this allocation structure is maintained in the configuration manual that I share with the elite members, but I will also create another video for the settlement where I will explain to you in detail how to configure all of this. So now I'm going to use this one and then click on OK. And let's click on done and save. And go back to the other application for the settlement. Again, click on execute. This time we don't have any errors. So we have settlement executed 1. Click on detail lists. This will show the receiver. So we have the receiver, cost center 1000, cost center 2000. This one received 2000 EUR and this one received 3000 EUR. 2000 EUR is translated to 2040 USD. This is the controlling area currency, and this is the object currency or the company code currency. So this is our distribution 4060. If we want to see the sender, we can also click here on sender. So this is the sending cost element. So this is our electricity expense that we posted in the accounting entry. And now let's go back and go to send to receiver. So the receiver is cost center 1000, 2000, and receiver cost center 2000 received 3000, and this happened with the cost element 921030. So this is the secondary cost element that we are using for internal order settlement, and it has the cost element category 21. Let's see the master record of this one. So this is the master data of our secondary cost element. If we go here to control data, we can see the cost element category 21, internal settlement. This is a cost element that we create and then we assign to the allocation structure, and the SAP will use it for the internal order settlement. We can also decide to settle every cost element using the same cost element. So the expense, electricity expense, will be settled using the same account without using a secondary cost element. This is something that we can maintain in the allocation structure, and I will show you this in the settlement video. But you can think of this as the same concept as the cost center assessment and cost center distribution that I explained before. That when we do the distribution, we are sending the same cost element to the receiver, while if we do assessment, we are using a secondary cost element to move the cost from the sender to the receiver. This is the same concept. So here we have the secondary cost element 921030 with the cost element category 21 that's used for the internal order settlement that we assign in the allocation structure. So this is the cost element that's used in this internal order settlement, and these are the values and the receivers. So now you understand the different values here. Now let's go back and execute the settlement. This is a test run, so until now we did not do anything. Now let's go back and remove the test run indicator, then execute. And now the settlement has been done. Now let's go back and let's display the report for the internal order plan actual for our internal order. So here is the fiscal year 2024. Category is ACT01. So this is for actual costs. Okay. Posting period is 1. Company code, and here we have the order number 1400104. Then click on go. And there is our order. So we have actual amount 5100 debit, and we have a credit of 5100. So the net is 0. We can also click here and then click on navigate to and go to display line items cost accounting. And this will take us to another report where we have all the selection criteria already inserted from the previous screen. And here we can see the different line items posted to the internal order. So we have one electricity expense 310015 for the value of 5100 or 5000 in company code currency. And we have 2 credit lines for internal order settlement posted with this internal order settlement secondary cost element, and the values are 2000 and 3000. So now we understand how to create an internal order as a real order or as statistical, how to post actual accounting entries to the internal order, and what is the use of the internal order status. If the order is in the status created, then no one can post to it. If the order is in the status released, then everyone can post, or the people who are authorized can post. And then if the order is in the status closed, then no one can use it any longer. So we can also close the order whenever we want. Now let's do this. So now we have settled all the costs that we have in the internal order. Let's say that we don't want anyone to use this internal order anymore. So in this case, we go to the internal order management application, and here we go to edit and go to the status, click on change system status, and here we can use complete. So if we choose complete, then no one will be able to use this order. And now if we save, and let's go to another screen and try to post an accounting entry just to confirm that no one can use it. So again, I will use the application post general journal entries. And let's say this is in 02/01/2024. Here I'm going to insert the same GL account that we used for electricity expense, debit 1000, and let's use our internal order for 00104, and we have an error message. So this message says the line item 1 system status closed is active for order for the 00104. So the order is closed and no one can use it. We also have another important status, which is TECO, or technically complete, and this status will block any other module from using our internal order. So for example, no one can create purchase orders or goods receipts on the internal order, but we can still use it for direct accounting posting. So we can still run the settlement, for example. And this is something we do before we do the settlement. So we block all the other modules from using the internal order. And then after we do the settlement, we close the order so no one can use it ever, either for posting directly or for posting from other modules. So now we also understand the internal order status. We understand what is the settlement rule, and that I am going to create another video completely explaining all the details about the settlement rule and the settlement profile and so on. And we also understand how to run the internal order settlement and display the results, and also how to display the internal order line items and the plan actual report. I hope you found the video useful. I know there are many details that are still missing, but this is what we always do. We start with an overview of how to use the business functionality, and then we go into the details of the configuration and how to adjust the system to our needs. I hope you found the video useful and easy to understand. Don't forget to leave me your comments and your questions, and also leave me your recommendations if you want me to add anything else to this playlist. Don't forget to support the channel by checking the channel membership program. I will leave you a link here. Share the video with your connections, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.